Hello, I'm Basia Sokolowska and this is my exhibition Homage. This is an exhibition which spans 10 years of my art making and consists of 4 projects. Each of the project is dedicated to an artist, a female artist, to whom I feel in particularly indebted to. And these artists are Anna Atkins, Louise Bourgeois, Wojtek Sternak and Agnes. Each of the projects had its own exhibitions before, and in this exhibition I present for the first time the series of photographs and drawings dedicated to Agnes entitled The Islands. So the first, chronologically speaking, the first project was a series of sunprints and a book of drawings which were made into sort of digital cyanotypes devoted to Anna Atkins, a British Victorian botanist and pioneer photographer who made a series of cyanotypes of British algae, a compendium of cyanotypes entitled British Algae, and made them into a book. She's credited to be the first maker of a photographic book. What connects me with Anna Atkins is the relationship with plants, very close relationships, a sensitivity and empathy to nature that resonates with me, that I see in her images. So what I did, I made sunprints using black and white photographic paper, and the images are of common Polish plants which I found in the garden of my family summer house. I also made some sunprints of Australian native plants when I was in Australia 6 months later in January 2010. The idea was to use plants which are close to my home environment and not to use exotic plants, but plants which are everyday in our everyday surroundings, and they have their own beauty, such as horseradish and grass and grapevine. The second artist I devoted a photographic project to is Georgia O'Keeffe. And what connects me with Georgia O'Keeffe is the love for landscape and big spaces, which she represented in her paintings. But the way I went about creating a body of work devoted to her was to make photographs related to her husband's famous series of abstract photographs of clouds, which he called equivalents. Like Alfred Stieglitz, I also photographed, made photographs of clouds, but they are not real clouds in the photographs. They are wisps of fur from my chow chow manchu. And the reason I used his fur was that Georgia O'Keeffe loved chow chows as well, and my reason for getting a chow chow was also partially because I really enjoyed reading and looking at the photographs of Georgia O'Keeffe and her chow chows. So basically these are my equivalents related to Alfred Stieglitz's equivalents and also Georgia O'Keeffe's life and life in a big landscape of New Mexico. The project dedicated to Agnes Martin is the last one in the series, and it consists of 8 square photographs entitled Islands. And the reason for the title is that Agnes Martin made a few paintings throughout her career with the same title. The most famous being the series of almost white big canvases hung in one room, which I was fortunate to see in her retrospective in Tate Modern. And what struck me about Agnes Martin was the radiance of her paintings and serenity and peace which I experienced standing in front of them, as well as her writing and her philosophy of art, in which art is just a pure aesthetic experience, free of meaning and free of style. They are just expression of abstract feelings which we all experience, but which we very often don't register because we're so busy with everything else that is happening in our life. So I try to make them as serene and also refer to this composition of stripes, horizontal stripes, which are very frequent in her paintings, as well as colors. And I perceive Agnes Martin as sort of an island. She was a recluse. She lived a very individual and strange life away from civilization, just having contact with a few people. And she was very immune to the art developments around her, as well as what was happening in politics and in the world. And also what I've included in the exhibition are the stones which I used for the islands, and 2 documents which are related to my way through thinking and drawing and writing and looking at Agnes Martin's works, which led me to this series of works. And most of the stones I used have a history. They belong to, well, the history of coming to me. So they come from particular places where which I visited or were given to me. They have their little history, which I also tried to contain in this exhibition as sort of extending a context of my photographic work. In the exhibition there are also other works which are related. They are like a lead up to the islands, and these are 8 watercolor drawings which I made in Australia in 2017 when I was working towards the photographs for Agnes Martin. I wasn't sure at that point what exactly it was that I was going to do, but what I did, I sat on the rocky shore of the Pacific Ocean and made drawings and sort of meditated and contemplated the nature of Ireland and the border of the island, which is the place where the sea meets the water. So they are called Towards Islands. And the series consists of 24 watercolors. I've included in this exhibition a selection of 8 of them. fourth artist included in the project is Louise Bourgeois, and the common thread between her art making and my art practice is the sort of psychological, biographical residue which is a source, a very powerful source of art and of the creative project, of the creative process. Louise Bourgeois drew on her childhood trauma to make great sculptures and drawings. Well, in my case, my traumatic childhood experience are not as clearly revealed as they are in her practice, but what really strikes me in Louise Bourgeois art, except for it's powerful, is also a certain delicacy and tenderness that is expressed in her huge, big, very, very powerful, very brave forms. This project I also worked on for a number of years, for 5 years, and only this year I made 20 watercolor drawings of tomato calyx, which with their spider-like form reminded me of Louise Bourgeois' famous spider sculptures. I titled these drawings Tender Viragos because for me they represent two sides of Louise's personality. One is the aggressive, unpleasant, fearful, distressed side, and again the other side is this very sensitive, gentle nature that sometimes she expressed towards people, and sometimes it can be found also in her art. So to stress the fighting aspect, the fight or flight instinct, which can be sublimated into art, I also made an animation of tomato calyx fighting. It's called The Terror of Being Alive, and they are like insects or spiders appearing, disappearing, fighting, injuring one another, dying. So this exhibition is a conclusion of a 10-year period of art making, of my art making, and I'm very happy with it. Sometimes I play with them. Come.
Okej, mamy.
Dobra, dziękuję Ci bardzo.